If you're about to ship out to U.S. Navy boot camp, or you're still thinking about enlisting in the United States Navy, or you just want to reminisce since you're already in and you already completed it, then this video is for you. So I joined in June of 2022. That was about 3 months after I migrated. So a lot of the resources that I looked into right before I joined were making a sailor documentary or other videos from content creators, first going on Reddit and all these forums and trying to do my own research and trying to be as prepared as I could be. And so it's different when you actually go through it yourself. And I would still like to share my own experience. It's the most memorable experience of my Navy career. Well, maybe one of the most memorable experiences. And going to recruit training command from being a recruit, haven't burned it yet, to a sailor is something that is definitely one of the biggest challenges ever since joining as a 27-year-old immigrant at that time, and now just being out in the fleet, sort of. So you hear the usual advice that people give you, try and keep your head down, or never again volunteer yourself, and just make sure your RTCs don't know your name all the way up to graduation. But I may have some counters to that. Just an argument for some of the things that I say is that recruit training command is something that they call the quarterdeck of the Navy. So it kind of like is the entrance to the fleet. And at the same time, it can set a foundation for your career. And if you take your boot camp experience and make it, try and set yourself up for success even before you hit the fleet, then you will truly, you will not have wasted your time in RTC. Advice number one, or tip number one that I could give you would be, of course, coming prepared mentally and physically. And that means every resource that's given to you by the Navy right before shipping out, you have to take advantage of it. One of these things would be the delayed entry program, or DEP, and spending time with your recruiters and petty officers and chiefs even before you ship out is a resource that you cannot overlook. And one other thing that you could do for yourself is look at the Navy standards for physical readiness. So looking at PRT events and PRT scores, making sure you're up to standard. If you are trying to naturalize while in boot camp, so bring the right documents, taking note of times and addresses of places that you lived before you came to the States or while you were in the States. If you go to USCIS and look at the form for naturalization through military service, then it will give you a better idea of what you need to bring so that the chief or the staff who's in charge of naturalizing or naturalization for sailors or recruits at boot camp, you won't have a big problem with providing any documents or any data that they need for them to put in that package or that paperwork. Advice number two would be living from chow to chow. So that just means doing the next thing. You hear that from a lot of people who've been through boot camp. And so knowing that if you're doing something difficult at a certain time, then you're not, there is a time for you to eat, and there's a time for you to take some little break to collect your thoughts and try and find that motivation once again to then do the next thing. And next thing you know, you are graduating on that parade deck or that auditorium, just marching with your division. And some of my shipmates out in boot camp, they would be bringing they would create their own calendar just to keep track of the days and how close they are to complete, or what are the upcoming events that we were told in advance, and trying to make a countdown for that. But my argument against that is it could slow time a little bit more, make it a little bit more painful for you to go through each day, because I tried that myself, and then I found out if I just stick to that kind of like time-tested principle of living from chow to chow, whether it be that entry-level training or you're going to some special warfare operations pipeline. People have said that if you live from chow to chow and just doing the thing that's right in front of you, and then looking forward to that, the next time that you could take a break, you could eat, and take a few seconds to just collect your breaths and collect your thoughts, then it'll work perfectly and time will go by just a little bit faster. Advice number 3 was just to be volunteer responsibly, and so not necessarily hiding out in the bathrooms and keeping your head down, nobody knows you. One argument for this would be if you are to exercise teamwork and you are able to show that 100% motivation to training, then that sets the tone for your career. Also, it's important to note that at least when I went through, and I know they should still be doing this, that people with leadership positions in boot camp, they can be promoted to the next pay grade. I mean, all the way up to E3, I believe. And so just don't take leadership positions just so that you can rank up. But the biggest motivation behind that is for you to exercise leadership, try to learn those skills before you even hit the fleet. And again, like I said, all of this is in the context of setting yourself up for success in your career, even before you hit the fleet. So don't hide out in a corner or hide out in the bathroom. Not that it's going to be easy to do that anyway. And for me personally, as somebody who just migrated, being able to form connections with my shipmates, my fellow recruits at that time, allowed me to just study and learn from the culture. You already know that the people who go to boot camp are people from all over the United States and all over the world. And so being able to just learn from your shipmates, learn from the people around you, it's a very great resource. And again, sets a tone for you being able to work with people from different backgrounds once you actually go to your first command or go prepare for deployment, etc. And 4th advice that I could give you is paying attention to classes and asking as many questions as you possibly can from the subject matter experts, your instructors, your RDCs. There is no stupid question. I mean, there might be sometimes where it's common sense, but at the same time, these people who are above you in boot camp, they're there for you. They're there to help train you. They're there to build you up after breaking you down, of course. And so you may be going through some classes or training evolutions that you feel like may be useless to you in the fleet. You might say that, well, the recruiter told me I would never be on a ship, so why do I need to learn line handling or firefighting, etc. But even the principles that you gain from these training evolutions will set the tone for you, for your attention to detail when you get to your rate or when you get to your first command. And these people who are teaching you or instructing you, they also have a wealth of knowledge that you can leverage, again, before checking in, before going to A school and all that. And I personally took that time whenever I could to go ask these questions, especially when we have, there's time when the RDCs turn it off just a little bit and try and mentor you, especially in the last few days after we went through the final training evolution, ballast stations, where we were considered sailors. And so being able to leverage the knowledge that your RDCs have will help set you up for success for your check-in. So there's a lot more I could say on the matter, especially with boot camp. There are a lot of great videos out there, a lot of them that I watched even before going to boot camp myself. And so this is just kind of like a piece of my mind and my little contribution to all of you. And if you've already been through boot camp, I hope that it's a little bit of a walk down memory lane as it has been for me. So if you have any questions, any topics that you would like to talk about or discuss about the Navy, about the corpsman rating, and about joining the military as an immigrant, then drop a comment below and tune into the next video.